The Millionaire's Regret. Victoria Hadley had it all: wealth, beauty, and ambition. But 25 years ago, she had made a choice that haunted her ever since. In her early 20s, she had been married to Daniel, a kind-hearted but struggling entrepreneur, and they had a newborn daughter, Emily. But Victoria was restless. She wanted luxury, power, and a life beyond the small home they shared. When a wealthy businessman offered her an opportunity to escape, she took it, abandoning Daniel and Emily without looking back. Over the years, Victoria built an empire. She became one of the most successful businesswomen in the country, her name gracing magazine covers and headlines. But with success came loneliness. She had never remarried, never had more children, and despite her fortune, something always felt missing. One evening, after closing a major business deal, Victoria decided to celebrate at one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city. As she entered, draped in an elegant designer gown, her eyes swept over the room, and then she saw him. Daniel. He looked distinguished, his dark hair now streaked with silver, his suit impeccably tailored. But what made Victoria freeze in place was the young woman sitting across from him. She was breathtaking: long blonde hair, delicate features, an uncanny resemblance to Victoria's younger self. Her heart pounded. Was it possible? Could it be? She forced herself to move, step by step, toward their table. As she approached, Daniel's eyes met hers. A flicker of recognition passed through them, but instead of anger, there was only quiet understanding. The young woman turned as well, her blue eyes wide with surprise. Victoria's breath caught in her throat. "Emily?" she whispered. The young woman's lips parted slightly, as if unsure how to respond. Then, after a long silence, she nodded. "Yes," she said softly. "That's my name." Tears burned Victoria's eyes. She had thought about this moment for years, rehearsed 1,000 apologies in her mind. But now that she was here, words failed her. Daniel set down his glass. His expression was calm, unreadable. "Victoria," he said evenly, "it's been a long time. To be someone." "And did you?" Emily asked. Victoria hesitated. She had money, power, everything she thought she wanted. But in this moment, standing before her daughter, the daughter she abandoned, she felt emptier than ever. "No," she whispered. "Not really." A silence stretched between them, heavy with years of unanswered questions. Finally, Daniel exhaled. "Emily, why don't you give us a moment?" Emily hesitated, then nodded. "I'll be at the bar." She stood, her movements graceful, and walked away, leaving Victoria alone with the man she once loved. Daniel studied her for a moment. "You look good, Victoria. You always did." A sad smile touched her lips. "And you did well, raising her. She's incredible." "She is," he agreed. "She deserved better than being abandoned." "I know." She gripped the back of the chair for support. "I can't change the past, Daniel, but I want to know her, if she'll let me." Daniel leaned back, considering her words. "That's not up to me," he said. "That's her choice." Victoria nodded. "Will you tell me about her?" For the first time that night, a small smile crossed his face. "She's brilliant, studied law, works with nonprofits. Kind-hearted, stubborn, reminds me of someone I used to know." Victoria let out a shaky breath. "I wish I had known her." "Maybe it's not too late," Daniel said, his voice softer now. "But you'll have to prove to her that you're worth knowing." Victoria met his gaze, hope flickering in her heart for the first time in years. "I will." And as she watched her daughter from across the room, she silently vowed that this time, she wouldn't run away. Victoria took a deep breath and walked toward the bar where Emily sat, swirling her drink absent-mindedly. The young woman noticed her approaching and straightened her posture, her expression guarded but not hostile. "May I sit?" Victoria asked gently. Emily hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Sure." As Victoria settled into the seat beside her, she studied her daughter's face: the high cheekbones, the piercing blue eyes, the same determined set of her jaw that she used to see in her own reflection. It was both mesmerizing and heartbreaking. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Victoria admitted. "I won't insult you by pretending I deserve it. But I want to be honest with you. I made a terrible mistake, and I've regretted it every single day." Emily sighed, setting her drink down. "Why did you leave? Was it because you didn't love us?" Victoria flinched at the question. "No, never. I loved you both. But I was selfish. I convinced myself that if I chased my ambitions, I could come back one day and be the person you deserved. But the years slipped away, and when I finally realized what I'd lost, it was too late." Emily was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You know, growing up, I used to make up stories about you. That you were a spy, that you had amnesia, that you were trapped somewhere and couldn't come back. It was easier than believing the truth that you chose to leave." Victoria's eyes welled with tears. "I hate that I put you through that." Emily studied her, something unreadable in her expression. "People always talk about how time heals, but it doesn't. It just gives you space to live with the scars." "I want to earn your trust," Victoria said. "If you'll let me." Emily tapped her fingers against her glass before looking over at her father. Daniel had been watching from the table, not intervening, just observing. When he saw Emily glance at him, he gave a small nod and unspoken reassurance. "I won't make this easy for you," Emily finally said, "and I won't promise anything." Victoria swallowed hard but nodded. "That's fair. But," Emily added, "I'm willing to talk. For now." A tear slipped down Victoria's cheek, but this time, it was one of relief. "That's all I could ask for," she whispered. Moral of the story: life gives us choices, but every choice comes with consequences. Wealth, success, and ambition mean nothing if they come at the cost of love and family. No amount of money can buy back lost time, but taking responsibility and making amends can sometimes lead to second chances. If you walk away from the people who love you, you may not always get another opportunity to return, so choose wisely.